2024 Rock and Roll Washington, D.C. half marathon here. A couple of quick things before we dive into some of the real course overview specifics and race day logistics, things like that. Always when you take a look at a race website, make sure you take a look at some of the photos that they are uploading, and you can see there is a wide variety of attire that athletes are racing in. Very popular outfit to race on this race course. I mean, it is in March, so the weather could be anything really, but the most popular outfit to race in is shorts and a long sleeve, maybe some gloves on that. But again, if it's hotter, obviously you're going to do short sleeves, and if it's colder, you're probably going to have to do a little bit more on top of that. But again, this could be a really, really pleasant race, or it could be a very, very cold race. Same thing with wind and other types of weather and elements and all that good stuff. It is the DC area, the Mid-Atlantic region, so really it is a total wild card right now. So don't expect it to be all sunshine and rainbows out there, because it might not be, right? And I always like to expect the worst, just in case it is the best out there. Diving into 24 race weekend, the schedule on Thursday, noon to 7 p.m., you have your packet pickup and the Health and Fitness Expo located at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Hall D. Friday, it is available from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Same location, same two things are open. Saturday, 7:45 is our 5K race, and Saturday, 8 a.m. is our half marathon. That is going to start at Constitution Ave and 14th Street Northwest. That is the event that we are going to be covering here, and finisher concert located at the finish line and the festival there. If we scroll down here, this is on our participants tab on the left hand side here. Health and Fitness Expo locations here. You can have the specific address, things like that there. Directions, parking, excuse me, definitely recommended to visit the Health and Fitness Expo on Thursday to pick up your race packet. I also agree with them that Friday, it gets a little crazy. So if you can get out there Thursday just to alleviate some stress, I would highly, highly encourage it. These are some of the ambassadors if you want to scroll down and visit those later. The entertainment, if you want to visit there, the medals and swag is a pretty cool tab for you to visit. As we pop up there, we can have some cool things. There's the medal there, half marathon, and the 5K finish there, with some other goodies beyond that. So without further ado, let's dive into some course specifics and how you should best attack this year's race. This is a race. This is the profile for the 5K. This is this green line. It's going to be an out and a back section there with the turnaround happening right up here. The start is different from the 5K start, so make sure you are aware of that. I already listed the location. You can go back and look, and I'm sure they're going to be blasting you with tons of emails here in the coming days and weeks. And this is our course for the 2023 edition. Let's blow this up a little bit so you have a better view of things. So as we are viewing this course and talking about it, just make sure you are aware that the blue line is the half marathon. The R is the band stages, so there are a ton of those scattered throughout, and then it's a great motivator to continue on down the road there. This watermark, this is water and Gatorade Endurance, and that is at every other aid station. I would highly encourage you to ask which aid stations they are located at when you do pick up your packet when you're at the expo. More information that you have, the better, right? And you can plan your race day attack a little bit more here. There is a location for the feed right up top up here. We're located at about mile 8.5. Restrooms are the green dot. Medical is the red medical sign. The BioFreeze station is a pain relief zone. They make a big deal about that on the website, and it's exactly what it sounds like. And that is located later on in our race. And we'll definitely touch upon that in a couple of minutes, but not right now. So this is our start over here. We're going to zoom in on our course right through here. This is a map that we have made a couple of years ago. It is not super accurate. It is missing this little up and down section right through there, but it is fairly accurate for our purposes here. Almost everything else on it is the exact same aside from that little up and down section right here. The highlights and things that you need to know on our race course, there's obviously 3 or 4 major sections out on the course. Our first major section is, of course, this 7.5 mile stretch, and then the next section is this, let's call it 1.5 2 mile area over here, and our third major section is divided up right there, and that consists of about 4.5 miles of largely downhill running, and of course it's all undulating and nothing is really flat here aside from a couple of areas on course. Diving into the start of our race here, this first mile is very, very, very deceiving. There's going to be a lot of people around you. Adrenaline's going to be high. You're going to want to fly out of the gates. Do your best to avoid that, okay? This is an opportunity for you to run your race pace. And again, I would just take just a little bit off of that right here, believe it or not. If you're running with power, your power might be a little bit high. That's okay during this section here because we are running uphill. But again, if you are running 20, 30, 40 watts higher than your goal target, that is a little too high for us, my friend. We do dive down a little bit as we get out of here. As we cross over the bridge right here, it does flatten out a little bit. This GPS data isn't the most accurate right through here, but it does a good job for our purposes here. You could see here that it is a little bit different going out versus coming back over the bridge, but what you're largely going to find is this is a little bit more accurate for our purposes there. So you're going to have a kind of a net downhill crossing the bridge, and as you turn around, you're going to have a net uphill coming across the bridge before you dump down around the little roundabout over there and scoot on into the main city over here. So with that, a lot of athletes really, really push the pace over and back on this bridge. They're still really wound up there. And again, your primary focus should be working on your form, kind of getting out of the weeds of people here, and slowly starting to ramp up your attack here. As we get closer to mile 3, and that really extends to mile 7-ish, this is going to be an area where you do have the green light to push the pace a little bit if you are a stronger runner. If you're an unsure runner, I would kind of hold off and just maintain your conservative approach to this race. As you can hopefully see, there's a lot of jagged edges mixed into this little section over here. So if you are not careful, a lot of these uphills and downhills will open you up to the possibility of really destroying your quads. A lot of athletes will dive down on the downhills and then totally floor it, rev up their speed, and try to increase their effort to go up and over that hill right there. And that is kind of a fool's errand. You need to pick one, and I wouldn't do both. I wouldn't really push the pace down the hill and up the hill. Identify what kind of runner you are, right? And if you're more of a downhill runner, then maybe you focus on those downhills and you take it easy on the uphills, or a little bit of different. Just kind of use those downhills for just kind of recovery, getting down. You know you're going to expend less energy because your running form is great, and really not attacking, but increasing your effort level slightly up those uphills. And you could do that the opposite way if you're more of an uphill runner or whatever. But know your strengths here, and that is going to really come into play right through here. Now, of course, the thing that's on everyone's mind is this hill right here, but I want you to kind of widen this hill out a little bit more, and it's much more than just this little sliver here. So as you approach mile 6 on this running course right here, you need to identify how your legs are feeling because the big hill is approaching. And out on course, if we look at that, that is towards the top of our running profile right through here. And then it really lifts up right here. This is there's a 7.5, 8.5% gradients at some points on this hill, and so it's not going to be the most friendly of. And if we are going to zoom in, I can tell you exactly how long it is. It's not going to be the most friendly 100. Let's call it 0.4 miles up there. So that is the thing that's on everyone's mind. But again, if we were really to extrapolate this out here, it's really 1.5 miles that you're really going to have to dig deep up here. So with that, you want to be aware of your nutritional focus throughout the race. Leading up to this point, you want to watch what your effort level has been, and you want to be aware of if your legs are really in the dirt, then you don't really want to push the pace for this last mile leading up to the hill. You want to allow your body a chance to recover a little bit, because even if you are walk running at a good little pace, alternating up this hill right here, you are going to be catching a ton of people. But think back to that last big section that we talked about earlier, and those on our big 3 here. You want to arrive at the end of this section at section 9, section 9.5, ready to go here, or at least put together enough to keep your running form in a place where you can finish strong. Your running form is going to largely carry you through this back section right here. And again, it's a rolling downhill profile. So when you are in these sections on races, you will, of course, know that you're going to have to maintain a great running posture. Your core is going to have to be activated, and the athletes that really let their legs slide out in front of them or get a little sloppy in their running dynamics are usually the ones that experience running cramps and injuries and all that good stuff. Think like side stitches, or their running race just, goes to hell. You just got to be careful out there, and this is a major, major place where this happens. And it's not because athletes are going too fast or have gone too fast, right? I mean, those can all definitely play a little bit into it, but the running dynamics piece to this is going to be very, very important. So don't get distracted by others and maintain your mental focus all the way to this race during this last couple of miles here, and you're going to be so much better off than you think. All right, the runners that get through this section in a place where they are holding themselves together and running appropriately for them and how they have gotten themselves up to this point through training and racing are the ones that are going to be successful on race day. If we're talking about pure effort, you're going to have to work during this section. I'm not going to kind of beat around the bush, but the effort over the net course of the net of this distance here is going to be a little bit less than what you will hopefully have had to do up until this section right through here, right? Because that's largely a lot different. And if we did identify exactly how much we are going to climb here, you're still going to climb about 80, let's call it 8,500 feet here. So again, net downhill. I mean, you do have 260 feet of elevation loss because you are dropping down to the water there, but you're still going to have a little bit of climbing left to do on race day. So that is a very, very quick overview of our 2024 DC Rock and Roll Marathon, or half marathon, excuse me. Watch out for weather. It could be anything out there on race day. Watch out for others really driving the pace for those first 5 or 6 miles. Run your race there and don't really overdo it, especially in that first mile. Okay, save up a little bit if you are kind of on the edge over there and you don't think you're going to be able to make it up this 1.5 miles. If you're feeling good during this section, don't be afraid to increase the effort level, and just realize your effort level could be higher even though your pace is slower because you're going up a massive uphill there. Carry your speed, carry that getting through the speed to 8.8 miles over there before the terrain starts to drop down and you are getting back into race rhythm here before you get dropped down to the finish line. Once you get to about mile 11.3 on race day, you are going to be in a place where you can largely push the pace and you don't really have to worry about elevation declines anymore after that. There are going to be a couple of places where it drops you down and lifts you up, but for the most part, that is pretty much it. One thing I did not talk about, and I'll do very, very quickly here, are these aid stations. Aid stations are pretty scattered throughout, and they are alternating every other for Gatorade Endurance. If you don't think you're going to be able to make it to the feed zone, either way, that's coming at mile 8.5. I would probably plan to run with a gel or two just so you can have a little bit of calories, or a handheld leading up to this point, and maybe a little beyond afterwards. Triathletes, I would definitely encourage you running with a handheld just to kind of simulate those nutritional intakes, those nutritional targets that some of you have been focused on leading up to this point in the season here, trying to simulate some race day conditions over there. And specific runners, you might be better off running with a handheld as well, just to kind of have some extra food in there, or not, depending on what your training has done leading up to this. So everyone else who is not a coached athlete, don't be afraid to reach out for any specific info. I'll be happy to share with you some things, and we can go through a step-by-step goal for you on this race if you're interested. Coached athletes, I will be reaching out to you individually, and I wish everyone the best of luck to this 2024 edition to the Rock and Roll Half Marathon DC style. See you, everybody.